And the Anything Podcast. I'm Aaron.
I'm Chris. What's going on?
Here we go.
All right. So, pretty interesting news out there today. Well, this week, actually.
What's the news?
Greta, I don't know, whoever the hell she is named Person's Time of the Year.
Okay, so I saw on the news, and everything on the news is true, the 10 or 20 most mispronounced things. And maybe you know how to pronounce this other dude's name. Butt peg? I don't know.
I don't even know who you're talking about.
Butt guy?
Butt plug?
Yeah.
I think you call that anal bead.
Yeah.
I think that's the correct pronunciation is anal bead.
Yeah. But Greta was the first one. So her name is I'm going to totally butcher it and pronounce it wrong, but it's Greta Thunberg.
Yeah, I don't care.
It's not Greta Thunberg.
Nobody's going to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but isn't she Swedish or something?
Yes, that's why.
Yeah, so that's why the language pronunciation is different.
Well, there was another scandal with her because she in a speech, I think she was giving a speech about climate change. So for the listeners who are not up on who Greta Thunberg is,
you will.
Yes. So
because she's Person's Time of the Year.
She's 16 years old. I believe she's Swedish or Norwegian or Swedish.
Some Scandinavian countries. Yeah.
And
in Europe.
Yes. So she gave a speech about climate change. And she says that world leaders are not doing enough to fulfill their promise of fixing the climate and do things. And she's calling people out. Now,
you do realize that all she really said was, "You're stealing my dreams."
I didn't hear
that's really all she's ever said. My thing is, first of all, time. What are you doing? Number of reasons. I'm calling you out, Time. Yeah. First of all, a couple of reasons here. One of the biggest things is, why are you still making a publication when we're all digital? So people can just get their digital forms or go paperless. So then we can save countless trees from being torn down. Secondly, why her when all she's said being the big thing is you stole my dreams, talking about climate change, when there's actual people who are out in the real world doing things to make changes and actual real world changes, like people who are cleaning up the oceans, like people who have found out ways to make plastic into electricity, and also people who are also actually cleaning up cities from garbage and things along that nature. But yet we give it to a person who is saying one thing, like, you stole my dreams.
Now, I don't know much, and everything that I read is on the internet. Okay, but I did do 5 minutes of searching because I wanted to know. A friend of mine told me something that I wanted to verify, and I'll get to that in a minute. But so first of all, with the Time magazine, there's a million other people you could be a Person of the Year. For me, my opinion of it is, first, is it a person whose parents are pushing their agenda? When I see a 4 or 5 year old at the abortion walk or the LGBT walk, I know that they don't have an opinion about abortion or LGBT.
Yeah,
that their parents are bringing there and making them hold up the sign, and they don't even know what they're doing. I don't like that. So I thought, well, is this a case of a person where the parents are just pushing their agenda through the child? That is not the case. Apparently, she was concerned about the climate, had made her parents stop eating meat because she was a certain concern, and made her parents do certain adjustments to their lifestyle.
Whoa. Time out here. First, the question, though, that I have is, why is she telling her parents what to do?
Right.
That's the major first off problem. Like, if my child told me to stop eating meat, I would probably go to Burger King, get a burger, and eat it right there. For sure. And be like, don't tell me not to eat meat.
So my opinion on it is okay, first of all, she's 16. I think she was 15 when this whole thing came out. And being a 15-year-old or 16-year-old, there are limited things that you can do to really make an impact. So good for her, because I remember at that age, I was going to a private school, but I was also playing hockey, right?
Yeah.
So that effort that I put into shooting a rubber thing at a net and skating around, I probably, if I put that energy into world change,
Well,
you
I
know,
mean, I don't.
who knows where I would be.
I don't think it
So
has
good for her.
anything to do with where you put it in, like your energy in.
Yeah.
Because whatever you're putting energy into, you're going to grow and have knowledge there. But being 15, 16 years old, you start being able to form certain opinions. The only thing is you are only limited on your knowledge because you've only probably learned one way, which is whatever the school that she has gone to has taught her or the news that has taught her, when in fact there's a lot more information out there that you just don't know. And that's the same thing with anybody. So if you take an issue, you have a limited knowledge window of what that knowledge or issue actually is, being at that age, until you start seeing how the world works and start taking into different factors and kind of getting a well-rounded opinion when it comes to it. Like being able to argue multiple sides or being able to look at it from multiple sides where you can actually see the roundedness of it. So that's one of the problems with having younger teenagers or even 18, 21, where they look at the world one way thinking that they're absolutely right, but then when you get experience in life, you realize that, oh, I am not always right. You know, I have a view or an opinion on the way I think the world should be, but in fact and actuality, maybe that's not the way the world could be potentially right now, because maybe limited by technology, maybe limited by ideas. You know, there's a lot of factors that are holding it back, and you kind of got to play and skirt around the correct, like how to get it to turn into the world you want it to be.
Well, that's my view. And I think it's a case of easier said than done, because she's not wrong. And we should have said this before we started talking. Like, first of all, climate change is real. Nobody's disputing that we have to all be cognizant and start moving in the direction of climate change is real. There's no debate. And she's not wrong. But because she's 16, implementing the climate change is easier said than done. So it's easy to be an idealist in your head.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing.
But the problem is much more nuanced.
Yes.
But
the big problems aren't people in general.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, but changing from plastic straws to paper straws is not going to make a difference. What is going to make a difference is going to be limiting the amount of pollution that companies and organizations that pollute the world and the earth are actually doing, because they account for the majority. And when I say majority, I mean like vast majority, like statistically huge majority is coming from these places. And even like our cars, the like automobile industry, yes, there's some pollution coming from that, but it's nothing compared to some of these places that are creating real pollution.
Well, it all adds up, and you're right though. It does need to start at the top with the biggest polluters and work its way down. But we seem to be looking at the smallest polluters, like, oh, you're going to all use paper straws now. That's going to get rid of those plastic bags.
And that's the whole thing. That's exactly what I said beforehand, before we started, when we first started talking about this, just off air. And that was that and I'll even say what I said. Like, Greta, or whatever the hell her name is, did absolutely nothing when it comes to doing anything on making the world a better place. All she said was a couple of words, and everybody's like, oh my God, amazing. And yet there's actual people who are really out there truly making a real difference in the world, cleaning up our oceans, cleaning up our garbage, cleaning, taking plastics and making them into electricity. There's things that are actually happening that people are doing, but yet it's like a smoke screen. They're like, oh, let's look over here. Oh, this is where we have people talking, but there's no changes that are actually happening. Or it's such stupid changes that have no impact whatsoever. And then one of the problems is when you go to a paper straw over a plastic straw, you still have to cut down a tree, which means if you're cutting down trees, that's nature. That's things.
Right.
That's something that can help fight carbon dioxide, because guess what? It eats carbon dioxide, and then it respirates in carbon dioxide for photosynthesis, and then it excretes oxygen for all of us to breathe. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of issues right there that I find with it.
Yeah, well, for Greta herself, good for her. Do what you think is right. Call out all the world leaders. She's not wrong. They're not doing what they said that they were going to do. I get it. But for Time Magazine, yeah, maybe could pick someone, different. Good for her though. But the thing that's hilarious that I think about it is that first of all, like someone the leader of the free world is tweeting about her, telling her to chill or something. I'd have to read the tweet. I'm like, okay, you're tweeting. Now, this is what I was saving. So I did a little bit of research about who this person was, because I had heard that she had Asperger's syndrome, which it's a
You're on the spectrum.
it's a spectrum of autism, right? So I didn't know whether that was true. And so I wanted to find out. And plus, I had heard on the news the correct pronunciation of her name, which I can't remember now. But I wanted.
Damn Americans, we don't know shit.
So in one day, there's Time Magazine, there's the correct pronouncing of her name, and then there's this thing where she may be on the spectrum. So I'm like, who is this person?
Yeah, but see, again, I mean, it doesn't matter if she's on the spectrum. It doesn't
No, it
matter if
doesn't.
she said words. Here's the thing. She's not doing a goddamn thing when it comes to it.
Yeah.
She's just talking, and people are like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And it's like, please do something.
Well, yeah. And again,
I mean, I understand.
good
Yes,
for her. She's
I understand
16.
words can have an impact, but actions speak louder than words.
Right.
And that's the whole thing. So
Right.
let's focus in on people who are actually trying to make real changes.
Right.
And continue that
again,
way.
like she was 15, she's 16. Good for her. Maybe she'll go into environmental science. Who knows? I don't know. She's a teenager. Good for her. But what I was having an issue with is that the leader of the free world is tweeting like chill or like watch a movie or something. And I'm like, this is what you're concerned about, and you're tweeting about a person who has Asperger's, first of all. And, I don't know if maybe people who are listening don't know a lot about that disease, but I didn't know what it was. But, you are not, the way that you view the world is different than person who is not on the spectrum. So it's hard for me to judge her. And again, she's 15 or 16 at the time. Good for her. Sticking up for your convictions. Good for you. Now, is she like the person who is that one 19 or 20-year-old who's engineering a way to clean plastic up from the ocean who had
I think
that
he's
thing?
23 now.
Yeah. But maybe when she gets to be older, she'll become an environment. I have no issue with her. Good for her. What I have an issue with is everyone else acting around her like, okay, you're tweeting at a 16-year-old girl with Asperger's.
All right, hold on. Time out here. Let's talk about Trump's tweets real quick, because some of them are fucking hilarious.
They are funny.
Like I gotta say, I'm sorry, when he did the Greenland, when they were looking at possibly buying Greenland and saying, don't worry, I promise not to do this.
Yeah.
And he has a picture of Trump Tower in Greenland. That's fucking great.
Yeah,
I
that's a
mean,
good one.
come on. Like some of the stuff that comes, I don't go on Twitter too much. The only thing I ever do is like share my YouTube stuff. Yeah. And then, we got to get a Twitter actually for this. I completely forgot about that.
And so
I have a whole checklist.
Yeah, we need Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Patreon.
Well, we have Facebook.
YouTube.
We have Facebook. We have Patreon will be this week, and I'll probably just end up doing the other stuff too. Because once I have the ability to upload our podcast on YouTube's video format, which you can see right here,
and then if we get a Twitter, we can twit. All right.
Yeah. So those are some of the good things right there.
Yeah.
That's all in the pipeline.
Well, you know me, like
this week.
Yeah, I completely stay out of the politics, and I don't care what the leader of the free world is tweeting or doing.
I don't know why you're going the freedom of the just say Trump.
Yeah.
I mean, hello, it's the First Amendment right here we have. It's called
is.
the freedom of speech. You can talk for or against anybody
I have no opinion.
in the government that you want.
I have no opinion, but I'm like, in my view, I'm like, you should be encouraging a person and not tweeting at them, especially
Well-
a person who has Asperger's.
Well,
Just say good
let's-
for you.
Let's just look at it. I mean, he tweets about Skeletor, which is Nancy Pelosi, and if for anybody
She's
who,
an adult though. Good for her.
yeah, well,
good for
I mean,
him. Yeah.
it's still funny. I mean, some of the shit that he comes up with
I get
is,
it.
are gems.
Someone needs to take his phone away. That's all I think. Like, take his tweeter away.
I think somebody did control his tweeting for a little, or his Twitter for a little while, and the tweets that were coming out. But I think he just took over, and it's his type of personality, though.
What's the bandwidth though? Like what Joe Rogan says, there you have a certain amount of bandwidth that you can focus your energy on, right? And you're focusing. And again, I don't want to be critical. I stay completely out of politics. It's just this one issue to me. Maybe I'm a bleeding heart over this subject where I'm like, she's a 16-year-old
but
girl. She
here's the
has
thing.
Asperger's.
It doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter because first
She's
of all,
got the
you're
president
putting
tweeting at her.
labels onto somebody. Don't put labels onto anybody because then that's going to follow them around, and it can have negative consequences to that. So there's no reason to put label. Yes, wow, if she has Asperger's,
Right.
that's if she's living with it, if she's fine, she seems like she's okay, she's coping. However, I don't have Asperger's. I don't know.
Well,
I don't
my
understand
point there
it.
is that the way that you
But
view
we
the
don't
world
need-
is different.
Yeah,
than-
I understand that part, but I'm saying we don't need to make a deal about it.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, we got to stop placing the emphasis on certain things and certain labels when that can actually have negative consequences.
Yeah, well, I
towards
think
people.
that can help people understand why she's so focused in on this one specific subject, which is very important.
I don't know.
Whereas-
I'm done with talking about her though. I want to talk about something else.
All right, I have a good one for
you talked about bandwidth. My bandwidth is completely capped out for that because I just think it's for me like whoop-de-doo. It's the Time magazine.
No,
thing.
that's
It's
me
like,
too.
Come on,
Yeah, I'm with you.
Come on, really.
Yeah, I'm with you
So
there.
let's put some real people out there. Let's put Joe Rogan on Person of the
He
Year.
should be
Or
Person of the Year.
the Century because
Yeah.
he's doing a lot of things out there when it comes to trying to ask questions and find out about things and talking with people and the whole Joe Rogan podcast experience, which, bore the idea of this podcast.
Sure did.
And, I mean, yeah, let's make him Person of the
Right,
Year.
I agree.
All right, so you know what?
Also, though, I want to say to Joe Rogan, if ever hears this, and people I'm sure have told him this before, but he's literally changed my life. The way
He's
that
already
he-
said that.
Yeah.
So, but
I'm one of them. Me too, Joe.
Let's just say we're going to have the Anything Podcast Person of the Year for 2019 because we have only a few days left of 2019. Joe Rogan, you
Rogan.
are the Person of the Year from the Anything Podcast
Yeah.
with Chris and Aaron.
Yeah, you get like
So-
17 days of being person of 2019.
No, he gets an
actually-
entire year.
Okay, we're starting
for
bringing in
2020
2020.
because next year we'll crown the next person
Okay,
of who that could be.
it's gonna be Joe Rogan again.
It might be. It might be.
Have you ever seen any interesting license plates in your life?
I've seen a lot of interesting
Okay.
license plates.
I was driving.
Some of them, actually, I gotta say. So, it's a funny thing about license plates. Sometimes you get some crazy license plates that make it through the system because maybe that person doesn't know what it really means.
Yeah.
So my cousin, who used to live right next door to me, had a specialized license plate that was MUFFDV. I think it was DVIR. So it was Muff Diver. And if anybody doesn't know what muff means, it means vagina. So it was talking about eating pussy.
Just
which is
driving around
fucking
town
great.
with the muff diver.
Yes.
That's a great one. I was going through the car wash, and the one in front of me was Baby Got Back. And I thought that was a great license plate. I was looking at it, I'm like, it was like BBY GOTBK or something. I'm like, oh my God, Baby Got Back. I'm like, that's great. That's a good one. Today in the car, I saw this one. And anyone who's seen the movie Friday with Ice Cube will know this one. Bye, Felicia.
Oh,
I
yeah.
took a picture of it today. Bye, Felicia. On a
I've
license
seen
plate.
that
That's
one.
great.
That's
Bye,
on a
Felicia.
caddy, right?
I don't know. I got a picture of it.
Yeah, it's a Cadillac. I've seen that
Yeah.
before.
Bye, Felicia.
You know, it's really, there was one that's, it says move it, but when you look at it in your rear view mirror, so if somebody's behind you, so it's actually set up the right way. So if it's in the mirror, so like the E is a 3 because it's got to be reversed in the way the mirror is. And it was really clever how they did it. But then there was also one, and there was a guy I went to high school with, and his name's Kevin, and everybody called him Special K. And there was a license plate one day that I was driving by, and it was Special K was the license plate, but it wasn't his car, which was hilarious. So I take a picture of it and I send him it, and I'm like, dude, you got a license plate out there.
That's super awesome.
And it was just like, that was great.
Do you think Special K got pulled over and over again?
I don't know.
It's called Search My Car, Please. So then, yeah, I saw today. I saw Bye, Felicia, which I like.
That's
that one.
funny.
A friend of mine, she had a red convertible Spider car.
Mm-hmm.
So naturally, which I thought this was very clever, her license plate was Itsy Bitsy. So Itsy
Nice.
Bitsy Spider. I'm like, that's a very good one.
That's clever.
Yeah, that was a good one. What else have I seen? Yeah, that's about it. There's some good ones out there.
Oh yeah, every once in a while there's like a news article that comes out with like the specialized license plates, and they talk about it.
Yeah.
One of the guys that I know through YouTube, his name's Dustin, and he's got a pretty successful YouTube channel. He's known for this thing that he coined is called the Smackovich. So he's getting specialized vanity plates in Jersey saying Smackovich.
Sweet. That's sweet.
So people will know, like, you'd have to know if you knew him. You'd be like,
Yeah.
oh shit, that's Dustin.
When I got my Mustang because it's blue, I was debating whether to get my license plate Blue Waffle. I don't know if I should get Blue Waffle as my license plate. Anyone out there listening,
I don't understand.
don't Google Blue Waffle. Just
Okay.
don't do it.
Why?
Don't do it.
How about you say why?
I'll look it up and see what the description of Blue Waffle is.
Oh yeah. You should know this stuff if you're gonna
I
say.
do.
Don't.
It's a disgustingly gross STD.
Oh, okay. It's just the Urban Dictionary of it. Or
It is,
something?
yeah.
Gotcha.
It's so gross. Don't look up Blue Waffle.
Yeah, you don't want to see the pictures of that. What is the STD? Gonorrhea,
Probably.
syphilis,
Yeah.
something or other.
Blue Waffle is a fictional sexually transmitted infection that's believed to both turn the vagina blue and disfigure it.
Oh, so in other words, it's fictional. It's not really. So it's Smurf. It's Smurfette.
It's pretty fucking gross if you look it up, though. If you want to see blue, gross vaginas, Google Blue Waffle.
I'll pass.
Yeah, me too.
I'll pass.
Yep.
I like it nice and pink.
Bye, Felicia.
Bye, Felicia.
That's pretty good. What else was funny? Oh, okay. So here's what happened. We'll see what you think. Is this real life, or is this just fantasy?
Hold on. Are you talking about David? David goes to the dentist. Do you remember that video?
Yeah.
Do you know that's like? What is that? Like 6 years old right now, or
be
something,
a
or
long
maybe
time
even
ago,
longer than
yeah.
that. And that kid right now that video will follow him for his entire life.
Yeah.
Is this real life?
Is this real?
Is this really happening?
Oh my god! You know, if you're bored, looking up people who are coming out of anesthesia is hilarious. There's a bunch of them.
Oh my God.
Or did you see the girl with the popsicle? They're putting her on. They're gonna put her under for surgery, and they give her a popsicle, or maybe she had tonsil surgery. Right? She's
Maybe.
she's like 17 or 18. And she's
Oh,
like,
yeah,
want to
yeah,
see my
yeah, I
special
saw that.
talent, Ma? And she's like, She's like, don't act like you never did it.
I remember that
Oh
one.
my
Yeah,
God.
that one was good. Oh yeah,
It
dude, anesthesia can really fuck
fucks you up. Yep.
Like my ex-girlfriend, she had to have surgery on her breast because she was having some issue there. I don't remember what it was because it was a couple of years ago, but they put her out for it. It was, it wasn't a long surgery, so they didn't put her out long, but it fucked her up for a while. And she's smart, like she's real smart. She's a therapist, she's gone to school. She's not a doctor, but very close to it.
Yeah, that's a lot of
Very smart,
school.
very smart. And it was like I was over at her place and after the surgery, and she's like, I feel so fucked up. Like, I feel stupid. Like, my mind is not sharp right now. It's like, when I'm at work, I have to do everything I can to focus on it. And it's like, it's not easy. And like I said, she was only down for an hour or two at most, like not long at all. It was a very short and easy surgery when it comes down to it. But it's like, holy fuck, that shit will fuck you up for a while.
It does.
And what was it? So yeah, she's like, I just feel like really messed up. Like, I feel stupid. And I'm like, ooh. So it's like, oh, I might think twice about that. I'm
Right. Well, yeah. And I wish I would have known, because I've been knocked out a bunch of times, and I think of like how intelligent I used to be. And then, yeah, I get it. There's a doctor I was watching, Dr. Amen, who does brain scans, and he tries to help people who have not eaten healthy, who have not exercised, who have suffered traumatic brain injury. And one of the things that he said that I wasn't cognizant of was exactly what you said, that anesthesia can cause brain damage. It can cause you to feel not intelligent. And there's a whole list of things that you can do to try to get your function back, which is, eating proper foods, healthy exercise, etc. And, being very aware, but you do have to work at it. And I didn't know that. So I'm just getting knocked out all the time. You need surgery on here, you need surgery on there. And, I've been put under, I think 2 or 3 times. And the last time I felt the same way. I felt cloudy, non-sharp. And it's like being hung over, where you're like, and the sad part about it is you remember how intelligent you used to be before you had it. Now you have to live with this, knowing that you've lost some IQ points.
Yeah. And what's really funny though about the whole thing, I mean, and it's not funny, but she was always thinking that because she was so stressed out mentally about that and like going through it, that's what caused the trauma. And at the time, like, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, maybe. And I never really thought about it with the anesthesia.
No, I didn't either.
Even, like kind of knew about that because I've never been put under. I've never had to have that issue or anything. I've never heard the effects of it until, more recently, where, yeah, it can really fuck you up. So I'm thinking for her case, I don't think it was really the stress that messed her up.
No. It
was the anesthesia that messed her up. And maybe it was brought on further because of stress.
Right.
But overall, yeah, it was.
And I also think that it's probably the type of anesthesia, because if you get like the anesthesia where they IV or they use an injection, I think that's different than like if you're at the dentist where they knock you out with gas. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but I would assume that it's different, and it probably depends on how long you're under for too. And then I was watching another doctor who said that when you're under anesthesia, what if your body is feeling all of the pain, but you're just not creating the memory of the pain? So when you wake up, you just don't remember the pain. So your body is going through that traumatic experience of being cut open.
Well, your body, yeah. I mean, your body's obviously going to be feeling it. That's why it takes a long time to recover and recuperate. And sometimes you need to go to like PT and things like that, depending on what it is, because your body needs the time to heal and it's going to feel it.
Right.
The only thing is that's first of all, you're going to get a numbing agent. So like, I mean, if you've ever had like Novocaine for like pulling teeth or something, dude, your mouth is like, it's like, I don't feel anything because you're blocking all the signals, all the pain receptors and everything. So yeah, there's a way where you're not going to feel it. I don't think so. And even if you don't have the memory, it's like, if it stops that brain body barrier, then yeah, it happened, but you don't feel it. Therefore, your body is going to suffer the repercussions, and that's why you get morphine. That's why you get, all these huge, crazy opiates, and causes a lot of problems down the road. But
then watching people come out of anesthesia is still hilarious.
Oh God!
I saw a girl come in. The one they took her teeth out, And when she woke up, she's like, I'm ready to get my teeth. They're like, we already took your teeth. I do, what? What? She had all the thinking about, where did they do that? It was super funny. I feel, and there's a ton of them on the internet. Go look up on the internet if you're bored.
That's what I'm going to actually have to go and do, I think, is look up some YouTube videos of people coming out of anesthesia. Because I haven't watched those videos in such a long time. And I forget, like, watching some of those, just how funny. Because lately I've just been watching, like, a bunch of editing and sound engineering and stuff because I'm trying to produce the best quality sounding podcast and videos and all of that good stuff, transitions,
of course,
streams,
doing
and all that fun stuff. So it's like I'm doing a lot of education right now when sometimes you just got to kick back and just laugh off quite a few different things.
The worst one was somebody's like, I can't remember whether like, well, we had to amputate your feet or something. Can you imagine, like, or you're paralyzed now? You know,
oh my God, do you know how funny that would be if like you like played a practical joke on somebody, like you had them on the bed and then you like put their feet down and so they couldn't see it. But then you like just capped their knees, but everything's like just hanging off. You just don't know. And then you're like, yeah, we ran into a problem and they had to take both your feet off. You're now from the knees down. And then they look down, they're like, holy fuck. And then you're like, dude, I'm just messing with you.
I could never do it. And you know, that's why drugs are weird, man. So when I was in the hospital getting the surgeries, they shot me up with this drug called Dilaudid. And
what's that?
I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. It's either Dilaudid or I think that's what it is. This shit is like stronger than morphine or something. It's a derivative of morphine. So I was on the moon. Like, you really don't know what you're doing. So of course, the nurse that's in there was super hot, and I've got one of those paper gowns on where your ass is hanging out of the back, you know. And I'm high out of my mind. I was like, so what are you doing when I get out of here? You know, I'm like, you're just so out of your mind. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. It's dangerous. It's dangerous. Very dangerous. But man, I was on the moon. So like, that's why I'm on the fence about a lot of things. But don't have unnecessary surgery.
Oh, well, yeah, obviously. One of the things though that I never understood is they always have to give you informed consent on surgery. But they always sway it in a particular way to make it sound like it's not as bad as it might seem. But again, I mean, I can't speak from experience. I can only speak from interpretation.
I'm glad that as stoned out of my mind as I was, I had the wherewithal to not sign any kind of forms because I wasn't in my right frame of mind. And I kept saying, like, I don't believe that I have the capacity to make proper choices.
Well, but what I'm saying, hold on. But what I'm saying is that it's amazing what they leave out. Like they say, okay, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they say, like, with anesthesia that, you know, you could face this, and this. They just say, okay, we're going to put you under, this is what we got to do in the surgery. You might get this and this and this, and you might die. There's a 3% chance, according to whatever. And then do you want to proceed?
No.
And it's like, that's not informed consent. I want to know exactly, I want you to tell me from point A from pick up to drop off exactly what is going to happen. And I want to know everything. You're putting this into my body. What's the possibility of its effects? What's it going to do? I want to know everything. You're going to hate me as a patient because I'm going to ask everything I fucking can about it because
and you should.
I don't know.
Yeah, and you should, and they shouldn't hate you because of that. They should be like, oh, this, and you know, we want to explain everything to you. But again, all it is in liability. So if there's a chance that you may not wake up, all they say is you might die, sign here so the hospital isn't liable. That's it. They don't tell you, you know, well, this, you know, some people have reported brain damage or whatever, you know, and you may need this much rehab after. They don't. And it's tricky because if you're in a car accident and you're in the emergency room and they have to make life or death situation, you don't have the capacity to get that informed consent. But anything outside
Mm-hmm.
of that realm where it's not life or death, yeah, I agree. They need to do like a way better job of explaining to you, this might cause anal bleeding for the rest of your life. Yeah, I get it.
Oh my
Everything's so
God, dude.
complicated.
Do you know how much that was like? It's amazing how much they brush over things. Like think of if you watch TV and you see, because right now the way the advertising dollars is completely shifted to what it used to be. So if you go back a few years ago, all of a sudden all these pill commercials started coming on, and for depression and for
Yeah.
allergies and all this, that, and the other thing. And then they're like giving this whole list at like a 2x speed of different things that could go wrong with you by taking this pill and what it could cause.
Yeah.
And they're showing people having a great time, like dancing around, enjoying, and it's like you could die, you could get anal bleeding,
anal
leakage. You could so many different side effects. This could make it worse, this could make it, and it's like, is that really going to be good for you?
Yeah. Well, the thing was, so you take an antidepressant, but then you get anal leakage. So then you take the other pill to cure your anal leakage, but then you've got sinus infection. So you take the other pill to cure your sinus infection, but then you got leaky gut syndrome. So you take another pill to get your leaky gut fixed. It's a never-ending cycle. I get it, man. It's ridiculous. Medicine does a lot of good for a lot of people, but then on the other hand, it's definitely an industry. It's super crazy.
Oh yeah, but the problem with that is when it comes down to all of that stuff is that they do this baseline. And the problem with having a baseline is not everybody is going to be the same way. That's why when you do these studies, you have all of these different possibilities of what it could happen in terms of side effects.
Right.
Like you don't know how your body is going to cope with it. There's probably like a 95% chance that it's going to be okay with minimal side effects. But if you have side effects, it's going to piss you off a lot, depending on what it is. So they really need to
Well, the other thing is there's
work it.
nothing that doesn't have any side effects. There's going to be, if you get some kind of benefit, there's going to be a negative to it, no matter what it is. That same doctor that I was watching said, well, what if anesthesia, when you get your anesthesia, your brain just isn't forming the memories of the pain? What if your body feels all the pain, but your brain...
He clearly is an anesthesiologist
Right.
or
well, it was just
a person.
it was a good thing to think of because
hold on. What type of doctor was he,
I
first
think
of all?
just a general
'Cause-
practice.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wouldn't take his word for it because he's not specialized.
No,
in
well,
that.
what it
And
is,
that
it's
thing-
a thought experiment.
Yeah,
right?
but that's the whole thing. Like if I'm all I have to do is think, well, I had Novocaine before. I was awake. Half of my face I couldn't feel at all. And it's like, well, they're going to put numbing agents around where they're working. Yes, your body is going to know that it's been torn up and torn into and cut and all this other stuff. And it's going to know that and is going to understand it. But it's not going to feel it because you're numbing over the pain receptors, which will not then give it to the brain.
Right.
And therefore, it's not going to technically be in the brain, even though it knows what happened, it knows what's going on. It just doesn't have that connection. So that thought experiment to me is a mute.
Right.
mute
Well,
one
it's a
almost.
good thought experiment. And the other thing though, that the subject was a much different topic. They weren't talking about anesthesia and the effects of it. It was just a good thought experiment of, does your body retain that trauma? Which of course it does. But the other thing that he said, which is really true, and it's the point that you make all the time, when you're taking these antidepressants and you're taking these medicines, it's not like scientists can see in the brain to show, okay, this neuron is firing, and when we give it this medicine, it changes this chemical. They don't. He's like, we don't know shit. All we do is know that, okay, if we give this pill, they appear to be happier, they appear to function better, but some people have side effects, but they don't know how it's actually working.
Okay, so there's a couple of points that I want to make right now. First of all, we're at a point in time where we have the technology and the capabilities to do personalized medicine. So yes, it's going to cost money, but why isn't personalized medicine becoming more of a thing? So like if I can take a concoction of a pill and work it together that's going to minimalize the side effects down to an extremely infinitesimally small number, like 0.0028%, where if you take the pill, you're not, like, no problems are going to happen. But it's going to magnify the effects of what you need, taking all of the risks away. Like, why can't they personalize it by saying, okay, well, we could put this together, we could put this together, and because of your body or your DNA or, you know, your diet or whatever it is, we have to do these couple of things to tweak it and change it so it's going to be best for you. And again, we're going to push the outlying problems down to like the fourth standard deviation. So it's like 99.998 of zero problems whatsoever. So like, why can't we do that yet on a personalized type of medicine at this point?
Same thing.
And then the other thing too is it's like, well, if they're not doing the research on how a pill affects you, but they're just doing this baseline that says, oh, it appears to be better, but yet they're doing all of these real actual like MRI studies on patients who are taking like mushrooms and psilocybin and how it can rewire the brain. And they're saying like it'll help with like PTSD, or they're thinking that it's helping with PTSD, and there's strides with that, and depression, because it's changing the wiring in the brain and almost hitting like a hard reset. Like, why can't you take certain aspects of that and, you know, other drugs that are deemed to be this working of rewiring the brain, and implement it towards people with depression, implement it with people with bipolar, implement it with people who, you know, have these problem diseases that a pill makes it seem like everything's okay, but in actuality, we don't really know what the fuck is happening.
Exactly right. And well, technology, of course, the progress, it does get better. So you're right with like MRI scans and things like that. You can get a general sense of what's happening in the brain with different substances, right? But you're not looking at the atomic level of what's really happening. And you can do tests and experiments, but it's not real time. We haven't reached the point where you can just look into someone's brain and say, okay, you know, we have a general idea of what this pill is doing, but we don't really know because we can't physically see it. Our technology isn't there yet.
Well, I mean, that's the whole thing, though. They do have certain scans and certain abilities to understand. And I think that what they need to do is, instead of doing like this class sample, they need to start doing ongoing sample studies, meaning, okay, well, we're going to put you on this prescription, but we also want to see how it's going to work with you. Right. And I mean, that's one of the problems with just standardized medicine to begin with, is the fact that they put it at this base level, and things might get tweaked here and there, or changed here and there. Right. But it doesn't seem like there's ongoing studies. Like, if there's a certain pill that's released, that's the pill, that's what's going to happen. Maybe there's a generic pill form down the road, or not, or whatever it might be. But it's like, why can't we just keep continuing to raise the bar to minimize these side effects and personalize it if we can? Right. And that's one of the big things. Like, why are we okay or accepting of having the ability to create these side effects by taking a pill, when our technology and our research and our development could continue the process, bringing those chances of having that down further and further to where it's almost infinitesimal or statistically insignificant, to the point where it's literally able to say 0%. Yeah.
And also, like, there's a lot that needs to go into it, because when you go into the doctor, they're not, you know, like, oh, you're having trouble getting out of bed, huh? And things are kind of gloomy, and you know, you're not feeling so good and not happy. All right, well, here, we're going to try you on this milligram of this pill. Okay. And if that doesn't work, we're going to try that out. But if that doesn't work, then we're going to up the milligrammage of it. And we'll try that. Well, if that doesn't work, then we'll try a different one for you. And we're going to keep testing and try to get it right. But they don't.
And what's crazy about that is, that shit takes a long fucking
does.
time.
Yep.
Like if you're bipolar,
Yeah.
it takes you a long time to actually figure out what your real medications
Right.
need to be.
That's exactly
And the type of medications. I mean, it could take like weeks, months,
It takes months.
years
Yeah.
to be able to figure out the correct dosage.
Yeah.
And then that's only for an extended time.
Right,
After
exactly.
that, you have to then adjust again. It's
Right.
ongoing adjustments
because
all
of
of
chemistry.
the time.
Yeah, if your body builds up tolerance, your chemistry might change. You get, but also when you go in there. So first thing is we're going to keep trying these pills out for you, and maybe it may take some time to get it dialed in because the pills take time to work. Then you have to. Oh, you took too much. We'll try a little bit. Try this other one, might work better. Sometimes I've heard stories of people taking like 10 years before they get a combination where they actually feel okay, right? Now, the other thing is when you go in there, they're not going, okay, well, what is your diet? How much do you eat? What do you eat every day? We're going to send you home for a week, right? And I want you everything. I want you to write down everything you eat, when you eat it, how you're doing it. How much do you exercise? What is the environment that you live in at home? What is the environment? Do you work? What do you do for work? So there's so many factors that are you smoking? Are you drinking? Do you take drugs? What do you eat every day? Are you on a consistent cycle? What do you do for a living? Where do you live? Who do you live with? There's so many things.
What pollution centers are around you?
for sure.
What industry is around you?
Yeah.
How does the wind blow downstream?
Yeah,
What's there that could cause certain issues?
Yeah.
What's in the ground?
You got it, yeah.
There's
do you have mold in your house?
so
Yeah, so
many
many.
factors that you can't account for.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest things that you can is diet,
Mm-hmm.
exercise, and a lot of those things. If you like heal yourself through diet, exercise, through vitamins and minerals that you take and all that stuff, that can get rid of a lot of issues that you can have.
Yeah.
And it can rework over time. It's not going to be something that you're going to see right away. Like you might feel really good for like the first month or so, because that's like the honeymoon stage.
Yeah.
But after that time, then your body is going to be like, all right, I'm going to feel really bad for a little while.
Yeah.
And you just kind of got to truck on through that and not go back into the old ways because whatever reason it might be. So diet, exercise, and those things are really going to have a major impact on how you are, how you feel, and then how your body is going to change.
Yeah, for sure. And there are people who have chemical deficiencies, whose wiring needs, is wired different for sure. But I think there's a lot of people who can benefit, and medication can help them. But I think that the discussion of what are you eating? How do you exercise? What do you do for a living? What's the environment that you're in? Do you have trauma? After you get your diet and your exercise and your environment right, well, then maybe you have a lot of trauma to work on. Then you need therapy,
You want to know though, what's really fucked up is like sudden brain trauma injuries and stuff like that, where, if you have like bleeding in the brain, it shuts down part of your brain, it doesn't function properly anymore. And now you have to create new pathways.
Right.
And it's like what you said earlier, how you lived before that.
Yeah.
And now you are a whole different person essentially. And you have that past knowledge in life and experience. And maybe it takes out your filter, so you just say everything you think, and you come off as a complete asshole.
Yeah.
And there's no that filter just isn't there.
I didn't expect to be
And then
attacked
all
like
of a
this,
sudden,
Chris.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, it's like you back then you knew like you could control it, but now you can't. It's got to be so frustrating to people.
Oh.
And there's so many people where that just happens. They just completely change because of a certain brain trauma, and it's that, dude, that's fucking scary as shit. It's so scary.
It is. And the brain, the way the brain works, we know a lot, but we don't know so much. Nobody knows how the brain actually works, and it's the most complex thing in the universe. So, but then
We think we know a lot,
Yeah.
when
Well,
in fact we probably think we know more than we actually
sure.
do
for
know.
sure. It's it's amazing to me because when you learn about you learn about neuroscience, or you learn what they actually do know, You're like, oh my God, how do you know this, right? How do they know this? But then in the vast amount of knowledge that I'm sure can be learned, you're right. It's like a grain of sand in the universe. But learning about it is very interesting. But the thing that's amazing to me is there's people who've had like a gunshot wound or had some kind of a car accident. They've taken half of their brain out and they're walking around functioning with half of a brain. That's crazy.
Yeah. And even still, they have to rework all of their brain, though. They have to rework all the functionality, all this crazy stuff with it.
Or the experiments where they cut to try to eliminate seizures. They cut the membrane between the two halves of the brain, which seizures are caused when there's neurons firing back and forth between the two halves of the brain that short circuit you, right? So, rudimentary, they would cut the two halves of the brain in half, and that did help, but that creates a gap where the right side of your brain functions as one way and the left side of your brain functions a different way. They have a different function. So this part of your brain could be an atheist and this part of your brain believes in religion. It's so weird.
Yeah, but the thing though is, didn't they also show that over time it reattaches itself together in different neural pathways?
I don't know.
Because I mean, I don't know for sure. I don't remember.
Yeah.
We don't have a young lad over, or
No,
a
we
young
don't
or a young lass to pull up
Yeah.
something where we can actually
Right.
see right now. So
Man, the complexity of the body is just crazy. But that's why I think that this is not real life. Is this real life? Maybe it's a simulation. This is going to sound super weird.
David the dentist.
Yeah, for sure. It is. So today, I was looking for a new place to live. And the very first place that I went to look at, I drove 3 or 4 towns over in your area. Okay. I picked a random spot that I found on the internet that was advertising. And I called up the person. I went to look. I went upstairs and looked at the, it's one of the 6 apartment complex buildings, right?
Okay, sure.
So I went to the top floor.
2-bedroom?
It was a 1-bedroom.
Oh, okay.
I went to the top floor. I looked at the bedroom. And I looked at the thing. And then just show here, took the tour. Just as I was about to leave, I
saw roaches.
They're everywhere. Oh my God, it can't be real.
They're all crawling around and shit going all over. Or you saw a spider.
Yeah. It's not going to be a very exciting story, but I think it's weird to me. It's weird to me, and people are listening, be like,
you saw a black cat lick itself and then run
on
off.
Friday
and
the
then you
13th.
saw another black cat do the exact same thing a few moments later.
Yes. And I stopped and I paused and I said to the person next to me, what was her name? I can't remember her name. Switch? I said to Switch. What was her name?
Keep thinking.
Oh, I can't remember.
Again with the T.
Trinity. No, not Trinity. Yeah. I said to Switch. I think it was Switch.
Oh, no, you're right. It was Switch. Yeah.
I was like, did you see that? Yeah. Anyway. See, I have the anesthesia, man. The anesthesia. So I was just about to leave, and then I go, oh, what about laundry? And the complex person's like, okay, let me show you the basement. I completely forgot. So I go in the basement. He goes, well, there's hookups there for laundry. Now there's a young lady that was doing her laundry that was bent over and her hair was covering her face and I couldn't see.
And she was wearing nice little tight shorts.
They were tight pants.
And then, okay, so she's wearing the nice tight yoga pants.
Yep.
And getting nice visual, little thin lass. And,
so then I ran by.
But hold on, she was bending over and then she turned back, looked up, and you realized it was a dude?
It was definitely a dude. No, I ran by and I slapped her on the buttocks and then I got arrested. Did you see
and
that
yet
story?
you're here still somehow.
Did you see that story? We'll talk about that one in a minute.
The one, are you talking about the runner?
Yeah, the runner. Yeah, we'll talk about him in a minute. No, so there's a girl that's just doing her laundry and she's bent over in her laundry basket. I couldn't see. So the guy's like, oh, now I wanted to know how much like the general utilities are going to be. I go, hey, right before I left, I'm just about to leave. I go, hey, do you live here? And then she looked up. Turns out to be one of my best friend's sisters. I'm like, wait a minute, I know you. And it just seems
She hot?
Yeah, she's very attractive.
Is she single?
Nope, she's married with children.
Oh, okay, never mind. Because I was going to say, Aaron, hey, you might there.
That reminds me too. But I just thought, so I'm like literally 4 towns over, and out of any of the places that I could have went to look at, she happens to live in this specific place. The very first place I looked at, it's just really weird. What are the odds? I just think it's
100% actually.
I think it's 100% that I'm.
Well, because it happened.
So weird. So, good point. Touche, sir.
No, honestly, but I mean, think of it this way.
It's just like the Cards Against Humanity thing.
No, because think of it this way. How many people do you come in contact with over your 38 years of existence?
Yeah.
And the people that you know, that you knew through these people, that gives your sphere of people you know gets wider and wider. So you're going to run into people that you know here and there at random times and random places.
I've taken statistics. I know all
so
about
it's
the
going
odds,
to happen.
but it just seems super weird. Like we don't live in a rural area where there's 4 people. We live with literally, I wonder, what do you think the population of Buffalo is?
Buffalo is about 350,000.
Okay, and
Erie
then-
County is about 1 million.
Okay.
But again, that's the same thing. The more people that are in your area, it means the more people you actually meet.
I get it.
So
Way to burst my bubble.
Yeah, but I'm being real here.
This is
I'm
so
not
weird.
being-
No, I have taken statistics.
I
know
understand that.
Yeah.
I understand that. Yeah, it's weird because it's like, hey, you're
The
here. I didn't
first-
expect that.
The first place I looked,
But
random off the internet. So weird.
yeah, but the thing is, overall, it's not really
No,
that. But
because what it is-
you can go. Yeah, but here's the thing: you can go somewhere, anywhere you want to go, and all of a sudden, it's like, holy crap! Like I've gone out of town. I think I was in Florida or North Carolina or somewhere. I don't even remember. I know it was south, and I've run into people that I know. And I'm like, how the hell out of anywhere? And now that's going to have a different statistic number because you're not in the same relative area.
Right.
You're in an area that's at least, 10-hour drive away.
Yeah.
And then the chance is that you see somebody that you know there.
Right.
Now that's a little bit different. But
no, that happened to me in Florida. And when I moved to Pennsylvania, that happened to me. I went into this random
There you
bar
go.
in a small town in Pennsylvania, and this girl goes, actually, she was so attractive. She looked like Tyra Banks. I'll never forget her. Yeah, and she goes, are you from Western New York? I was like, yeah, what? Dude, I'm in this. First of all,
I'd be like,
yeah, I had just turned 21. And I didn't notice the rainbow sticker on the door when I went into the bar. And I don't even think I knew what an upside down rainbow sticker meant at a bar, right? I don't know. So I got in there, and there's all these like really pretty girls in there. All these I'm like, oh, I hit the gold mine. So I start talking to the one girl, and she goes, are you from Western New York? I'm like, yeah. It's like, oh, I remember you. She's like, do you have a brother or relative that looks just like you? I'm like, yeah. So I remember you. You were at the mall. And she mentioned the mall that we live by. Like, she remembered me and my cousin and my brother from being in that mall. And I'm in this random little area in Pennsylvania.
That's
weird.
there you go. That's more random than this story would have happened.
It was just super weird. And the other weird thing, though, is I was about to leave. And I was like,
yeah,
oh,
that doesn't
I would have
matter.
never known that she lived there if I didn't go into the basement to check that she's down. It's so weird. But what it really is we live in the Matrix. You're an agent, and you're trying to convince me that I'm not in the Matrix right now. You're not doing a very good job.
Well, first of all, I'm not an agent because I'm disconnected.
Okay.
When I leave this podcast, I wake back up in the ship.
Okay.
And then I come back. The only difference is they got it wrong because the machines and the people are not at war with each other. It's something that we've decided to go into, and most people want to stay plugged in because virtual reality is much, much better than the real world.
Okay. Well, that makes
And
sense.
the problem is, it's the same thing what's happening right now in terms of our made-up world that we're living in the Matrix itself, is that our technology is going to make another virtual reality thing. So we're going to go into the Matrix of the Matrix.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then once we hit a certain point, it's like, all right, we're going to go back a little bit further.
Oh, wait. What were we going to talk about? I completely forgot.
I don't know.
was like, we'll talk about that
lot
in
of
a
different
minute.
things,
Yeah.
so it doesn't really matter. It just goes where it goes.
Well, in the middle of my not so exciting story, that was just the weird Xanadu story to me. We were going to talk about something else where I was like, well, we're going to talk about that in a minute too. I can't remember what it was though.
It wasn't important enough to talk about
not.
then. So,
Oh, the runner.
oh yeah, smacking on the butt
So yeah, so
on live TV, nonetheless.
Yeah. So there. Well, So during the political race that was in Niagara Falls, I was at a hockey rink where the person ended up losing. The candidate that was at the hockey rink that was having his like, oh, we're gonna win or lose party. He ended up losing, but the news was there, right? So I saw the people who set up the camera. I saw the newswoman, and first of all, when you're out and about and you see someone doing the news, like, don't you try to like get out of the way, or you don't bother the newscaster, right? Like, I would never try to interfere, but this guy's running and running and running. And then all of a sudden, not only did he's like, oh, I'm going to be on the news. Then he slapped her butt. So it turns out that the guy's a married youth pastor.
Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah.
That is like gold right there when it comes to a story.
Yeah.
Yes. Tonight on the evening news, one of our reporters was sexually harassed and assaulted by a runner, and we've found the identity of the runner, and he is a youth pastor and married. So
Now, that's the other question. So he's running and running, and then he sees the reporter, and he's like, oh, who knows what he was thinking? I'm going to slap her butt. Right. And I'm going to keep running. So he does that. Then he gets charged with sexual battery. That's what they're charging him with. Is it assault or is it sexual battery?
it's whatever they charged him with. So apparently it's sexual
guess
battery.
so.
I don't know what the difference would be in
I.
that terms, but yeah, it would be considered sexual battery then.
I guess so. So he did it in a sexual way when he's running by.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know enough to know the difference between battery and assault. And
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, so it really depends. I'd have to look up the terms to know more.
That's just in your brain though. Like, I get it. You're running and running and you're making a split second decision, but I can't. No.
Yeah, but you know what? Here's the thing. So one of the problems is, so I was in New Orleans a few years ago, and we were there to leave port to go on a cruise. And I was with a bunch of friends, and one of the people was actually in New Orleans before. So we went there. It was a Saturday night. We were leaving Sunday for the cruise. So we're like, all right, we're going to go down Bourbon Street, all the fun stuff. And it gets crazy. I mean, like, there's people all in the street. There's people, like, you literally only go into the bars to get drinks, and then you come back outside.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Cowboys were playing in NOLA, so that means all of Dallas, everybody from Dallas, or all the people who like the Cowboys, come to the game because it's a big rivalry between the two. So it was pretty busy that weekend. And the one guy we were with who was there, he's like, all right, so just watch out because you're probably going to get groped, to the girls that we were with. And it's like, holy shit, like, yeah, there's so many people, but they just put hands out and try to grab ass or tits or something. And it's like, because there's so many people, you just kind of blend in. So it's like this weird thing that some people just do. They'll just go and grab some girl's ass or tits or vagina or whatever, and it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I can't relate. You know what? I finally got an impression. There's 2 times in my life where I'm like, oh.
You got to back up the mic a little bit.
Too loud?
Yeah.
2 times in my life. Oh, that's much better. There we go. 2 times in my life where I'm like, oh, this must be what it's like to be a female that's getting hit on by dudes all the time. One time I went out, I think I was about 27, and I went out downtown with a gaggle of young ladies that I used to go out with, have a super fun time.
Where'd you go, Marcella's?
Been there, yeah.
No,
yeah.
I'm asking, was this the Marcella's story? For those of you who don't know, Marcella's is a gay bar in Buffalo. It's a very well-known gay bar.
You know what? I was talking to a guy at my work.
There's another one, actually. I forget what it is. There's a few.
A lot of them, yeah.
Yeah.
I was talking to a guy at my work. Ironically, apparently that place has gotten like violent.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah.
Dude, it's got like
Yeah.
just some of the stuff that's been happening. Yeah, it can be a pretty
Right.
rough and tumble place.
Right. When I was there, when I went there, it was their thing there was that you go see the drag show. Mm-hmm. Right. Well, so I had gone downtown, and no, I was not in Marcello's. I had been there. I went out with my friends, and at the end of the night, it was probably like 3:00 in the morning. We went to the taco place that's open, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there was, ironically, that we're talking about Marcellus, there was a man who was dressed like a woman in the taco place, and he had come up to me.
What, ETS?
No, anyway.
I want to know what this place.
Yeah. So I'm at the taco place that on their t-shirts they say, "I see drunk people." And it's open all night or open very late. I'm in there, and there's this massive man that is dressed like a woman. Mm-hmm. And he came up to me and he goes, "Oh, honey, you're cute." And somehow in a split second slipped his hands down my pants.
And you liked it.
Did not like it. Did not like. But it happened so quickly. And then there was a policeman there who grabbed the guy and slammed him up against the wall. And just like barely got his hand, but it happened so quickly. I'm like, oh, this must be what it's like
Oh, no.
to get hit on by.
I'll tell you what. Here,
Horrible.
you had like a little tiny
Yeah.
1 second smidget
Yep.
of being a piece of meat.
Yep.
Women have it all of
the
the fucking
time.
time. All of the time. Whether they're at the grocery store, whether they're in a ride going somewhere and with people they don't know,
Yep.
on Facebook getting their DMs slid into
Yep.
all the time. And then here, the craziest part is, oh, you know what? I'll read this because this is pretty crazy. I just got to find it. There was a friend of mine. She posted this earlier. She's an attractive girl, and some guy tried sliding into her messages, and he gets butthurt, which she's like, no.
Okay.
And this is how a lot of dudes
Oh,
are.
they get
It's
so
like,
mad.
what? It's like you're pathetic. Like, grow the fuck up, dude.
Yep.
So I'm going to actually read the conversation.
Okay.
Because it gets pretty intense pretty quick. So he's like, "Hey, 10:48 a.m. The following day at 7:07 p.m. Where are you from?" And I think this was on Instagram. No, Twitter. I don't know, something. Then today, I don't know what today was. Whether that was like a couple of days ago or actually like today, like 10 days later. Yo, this is all from the dude. She didn't respond or anything. And then she says, "I didn't answer you the first 2 times for a reason. I'm not interested in small talk. I've got a man." And then he comments back, And then today at 2:30, this was an hour and a half go by. "Not intimidated or threatened whatsoever, but good luck with that. Getting a little butt hurt." And then,
What does that mean? What? Yeah.
and then all I have, it's like, she already said she's got somebody, dude.
Yeah.
Chill the fuck out.
Yeah.
And then it says, "Not intimidated or threatened whatsoever, but good luck with that."
But okay, so first of all, clearly you are intimidated and threatened, or you wouldn't be texting that.
Oh yeah, but hold on, it gets better. There's more to it. "All I have to say is lose the attitude, and please don't flatter yourself. Have a good day." This is from the dude.
Yeah, I
she
get
hasn't
it.
responded either. She just said,
Yeah.
"I got a man.
Right.
I'm not interested in small talk." And he responds, "Not intimidated or threatened whatsoever, but good luck with that." And then right after, "All I have to say is lose the attitude, and please don't flatter yourself. Have a good day." So then she actually responds and says, "I don't have an attitude for speaking the truth. Your response is typical of someone whose ego took a little blow.
You sure did.
You reached out to me. You're the one that showed interest. You're the one that felt the need to open your mouth again after I told you I'm taken. Had I engaged with you, your tone would be much different. You're not fooling anyone." So yeah, I mean, like I said, she's an attractive girl. Like, she's pretty hot. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, dudes are
And
probably coming out of the woodwork.
Heather, if you hear this, but she's an attractive girl, and whatever.
Yeah.
So then he responds, "You did not blow my ego at all. LOL. IDK, I don't know. What makes you think that? But no, honey. Not even close. And then he responds again, and that's because you don't know me or the fact I don't come second to nobody. I don't care who you're with. When I come around, it means something. Enough said. Take care.
So this guy thinks that he's the cock of the walk.
Oh, yeah.
And that he got rejected and is now butthurt and lashing out.
Oh, yeah. Actually, Heather is one of my friends who we've been talking about having come on the podcast.
I hope she comes on here because
So-
we could talk about Butthurt Henry there.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Actually, it's not Butthurt Henry. It's, hold on,
Yeah, tell us his real name so we can forever refer to him as Butthurt Guy.
Brett.
Butthurt Brett, it's even better.
And here's the best part. Here's the best part. She says, I have to laugh. Typical man whose DM didn't go as planned. Hashtag butthurt Brett.
That's hilarious.
So
Butthurt Brett.
because his screen name doesn't show what it is, so it just says Brett. So this is Instagram that slid into. So yes, and here's the words on his Instagram page. Brett, I'm following 4,547 people, which probably are all chicks and gym fitness girls, so you can see
sure.
butt.
Yeah.
And then he's got 912 followers and 278 posts. I'm not going to read what his name is, but it says action breeds confidence and courage. Failure is a detour, not a dead end. Never view your challenges as a disadvantage.
Okay. All
So he's trying very hard there, but yes, absolutely, butthurt Brett.
Butthurt Brett, I love it.
I gotta message Heather and
For sure.
figure out a time when we can have her on, which will probably be right after the holidays, being that it's a busy time of the year. Actually, wait, you know what? Let me text her right now because her daughter is on a cruise, so she might actually be able to come.
Oh, cool.
Maybe next week.
So the stakeout place, that was the first time I got crabs. Now the second time was when I was at a bar about 4 or 5 years ago. A friend of mine was a bartender, and there was a dude there who probably was a 50-year-old bear. Okay. And he just would not give up on hitting on me. Right. And I'm there to hit on my friend Stacy, who was a bartender there. And I'm like, dude, I'm not into guys. No offense to you. I'm here because of Stacy. She's my friend. I'm attracted to her, Mm-hmm. Well, the dude just would not give up, right? And it's just like, oh, but how do you know? How do you know? And you should just come out with me and me. So I just thought, I'm like, oh my God, this is what it's like if you're a butthurt Brett and you're just out there not taking no for an answer. And I feel kind of like I can't, because us as guys, like we don't have people hitting on us all the time, 24 hours, no matter what. So I kind of feel for women in that respect where like, you get dudes out there who are so aggressive and they just won't give up. It's crazy. It's always interesting to me. I always forget about, other people's experiences. I keep forgetting.
Well, yeah. I mean, the whole thing is that we are men and women. It's a whole different thing. Like I was thinking about it a lot, and like I'm walking out Wegmans after grocery shopping and, walking to my car, which I usually park further away because it's easier to find spots further away. Yep. You don't have to worry about that. And so that's where I usually like to park.
Yep, that's what I do.
And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I'm just walking alone and I'm like, I'm not a girl. I don't ever have to like really ever worry about, people who are trying to look as like sex traffickers or human trafficking or anything like that. I'm like, I don't need to worry about that. Like other people do. Like women have to worry about that, especially if they're smaller, they're attractive. They have to worry about that.
They do, yeah.
Really, like maybe not in the forefront of their mind, but it's always in the back of their mind.
Yep.
Or same thing, like you're walking and some guy just grabs your ass in the parking lot. And it's
Right.
like, I never even have to think about that. I don't have to worry about
Right.
that. And it's so weird and wild to do that. And then like women that I know, there's quite a few that I know that have been raped. And it's a horrible, horrible thing that they have to go through. And
For sure.
like, chances are, realistically, I'll never know what it's like to be raped in any way, shape, or form.
Yep.
And so it's like, it's very hard to think about it, to figure it out, or to understand it. Like you can comprehend it, but you can't understand it.
Right.
And it's like, holy fuck.
Yeah. Or
Like,
can you
there's
imagine?
some real fucking shit out there.
Oh, there
And it's
really
like,
is.
unfortunately, it's like, yeah, we don't really know what's going on, but we can protect who we're with and around at the time, but we're not always going to be around that person.
Well, that's the other
And
thing.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Could you imagine being a woman in her 20s, or any woman really, but you're out at the bar? You have to watch out. And I've had my drink spiked before, but I know a lot of people have had their drink spiked. I don't know who's doing this. Why are you doing it? It's stupid.
I don't know.
But if you're a woman, it's 10 times worse. Like I would never, if I was a woman, I would never drink anything that anyone gave me ever. Like I'd be so suspicious. You couldn't leave your drink anywhere. You can't do anything. You'd have to literally watch the bartender pour your drink and bring it to you.
Even
and keep an eye on it
see,
at all times.
Here's the problem with that is if the bartender doesn't make it in front of you,
Right.
and they turn around, especially if it's a guy, like women should go to women bartenders.
They should.
Because most of the time, chances are there's going to be no issues because they're going to understand, they're going to know. But like a guy could be working with another guy that's right there and be like, hey, yo, put this in this drink or something. And so if he turns around and he's got it in his hand and he's making, and he just slips it in when he's turning around, you don't know.
Yeah, it's so dirty.
And it's so fucked up. Like, what is wrong with people that they do that?
I know. I don't get it. People are just, man. I never think of like those aspects of like being a woman, the plight of a woman. It's just crazy talk. So a friend of mine has this YouTube channel. It's called Real Rideshare Stories, and you should go check it out. Real Rideshare Stories is about real things that happen during the rideshare. I like it. I've watched it, and you should check it out. It's called Real Rideshare Stories. But for me, I never thought of the plight of a woman. Men have our own challenges. So, in the society that we live in, and it's not so much anymore, but you're supposed to be tough and you can't have feelings and you got to go out there and lift all the weight and take all of the pain and do everything. And you can't complain about the pain and just suck it up. And, and that's not healthy for men. Men do not get, I think that, we could learn a lot from women when it comes to tenderness and caring, but I think also men have to try to look at a woman's perspective too. Because, there's a lot of, they are smaller and more vulnerable in a lot of ways than we are. So it's crazy. The whole dynamic is crazy. I think men need to be like maybe a little bit pampered more than they are. It needs to be more acceptable because men do have feelings. We just shove them down and don't react to those feelings. That's what we're supposed to do.
Toxic masculinity.
Yeah, toxic masculinity. Where, hey Pete, you got hit in the face with a baseball. Pete, just suck it up, Pete. Some kind of pussy, look at you with your broken bloody nose, crying. You can't go to the hospital. Get back in the game, Pete.
Yeah. First of all, though, we need to realize that men and women are different,
For sure.
and to say that we're equal is disservice to both.
For sure.
Genetically we're made up different. We have XY chromosomes. They have XX chromosomes.
Yep.
Our body chemistry is made differently. Our functionality is made differently. Our reproductive systems are made differently.
For sure.
Like if guys were ever going to have kids, we'd all be dead because we get the cold and we're like dying.
Yeah.
There is a thing called man sickness, and it's a real thing. Sure. Like I get sick, I'm fucked on the couch for
sure.
4 days, and it's like, take care of me, please.
Sure.
Like you become a big giant baby, and women can press on. And I mean, yes, there's certain things that we should be looking at as equal, but we should also embrace our differences because yes, they're able to carry a child we're not.
Yep.
We would never be able to functionally do it either. So kudos to you ladies out there who carry children and continue from the beginning of time through to now and beyond that are going to hear this. But it's like, holy crap.
Did you watch Michelle Wolf?
Who?
Michelle Wolf. She's a comedian. Red-haired comedian.
Who?
You'd recognize her. She did a lot of political commentary, but she's a hilarious comedian.
Is she the chick who did the White House?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah. She's real cute too.
She's hilarious. So So that's her whole. A lot of her new stand-up is about how like feminists they're taking a step backwards. Like women are not. They're not ever going to be as strong as men, and that's not a bad thing. They have different qualities we need to embrace. That's part of her whole shtick, and she's right.
Yeah, I've heard her talking about that.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense. It's like, why are you doing that? It's like. We're not equal. We need to treat ourselves as different.
Yeah.
Not not different in terms of where we can be equal, but we need to realize that we can't handle different things or different things are going to happen to different people, like getting hit on all the time, like the constant worry that there could be somebody out there trying to grope you. Like that woman.
See, I worry about getting jumped. So it's the same thing. Like, am I going to get robbed or jumped? Or like, I get worried if you're in a bad neighborhood or something, but not all the time.
Yeah, but our thought process is much more at ease than
they have to worry about getting jumped
females.
and attacked.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a little difference. Like we perceive things differently because we don't have those risks. Like it's very rare when you go to a bar and a dude starts like literally hitting on you, grabbing your balls, and or
I don't know, Chris.
grinding
I'm a
on you or
handsome guy,
something.
and I'm not gay, but I get hit on a lot by gay men.
Well, their gator is going off. That might tell you something. Well, that's one of the things though. It's like trying to convert a straight dude. And like that's like a big
thing.
fetish.
That
like
is a
big
thing. You're right.
It's like, sorry, dick and hair and shit doesn't fly with me.
Well, the other thing that I was thinking about, remember the term
and stubble,
incel, which is involuntarily celibate. That's a new word I just made.
It's not celibate. It's celibate.
Okay, celibate. Involuntarily celibate.
Celibate, yes.
That's what they call the incel.
Yes.
Well, what about a person like me who's voluntarily celibate?
Well, that's just called retarded.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but pussy is a wonderful thing.
But
and you've deprived yourself from it for way too long.
Because it's not the right pussy.
It doesn't matter if it's the right pussy. Pussy's pussy.
I guess.
And let me tell you, there are varying degrees of good pussy and bad pussy. Because I've had the whole array. I've had really good squirting pussy that'll wreck a couch or a bed. And I've had really nasty ass pussy that I've faked having an orgasm to get out of there and leave.
Yeah.
So, but when you're in there, it still feels pretty good.
It's
like
still pussy.
You're like, even though your length of time has been so damn long that I'm surprised if it functions still.
Yeah.
Dust off the cobwebs, see if it still works.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, you gotta go out there and use it. Like if you look at the hierarchy of needs of stuff, sex is at the base. Like shelter, food, sex, they're all at the base.
I agree.
Love and relationships is up further. Like you need to make sure you have sex before you get love and relationships, because love and relationships and sex can be two different things. You just kind of got to get your dick wet sometimes. And your hand and sticking in a piece of meat is not going to work.
So what they categorize it as is reproduction. So it says physiological needs: air, water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, reproduction, which is true.
Which
it's a
is
physical
sex.
need. Yeah, for sure.
It's 100% physical
Did
need.
you see the episode of Seinfeld where George, he quits having sex and he becomes like super smart and he knows everything, and then all of a sudden,
was when they quit masturbating. So they had the bet on who could go longer.
Well, that's master
master-
your domain, but I think
Yeah.
George quit having sex, and then he was like, all of a sudden he's like reading books, and then he's like showing the Yankees how to, it's all trajectory. He showed how to hit the baseball.
Oh yeah.
Then he has sex with his like cleaning woman or something when he's supposed to give this genius speech, and all of a sudden he's like, what are these
Yeah.
things for?
Yeah, no, I remember that. But then they also had the masturbation bet.
That too,
on who
yeah.
could go the longest without it.
I'm out.
Yeah.
Such a good show.
And then Elaine walks up and she just smacks the money on
Yeah.
the table. She's like,
Yeah. Who
and they
was
just walks away.
Yeah, it was John Jr. Yep. That's hilarious. But it is true. But so for a guy like me, there's incels. And then, so I had a friend of mine proposition a young woman to me the other day. And,
A friend of yours,
Yes.
to her to help you out.
he thought he was doing me a favor by sending me a picture of this woman.
I need to see this picture of the
Yeah,
woman, and I
I
can
will
tell
show
you if
you.
she's a slump buster or not.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. You're not even in a slump.
Yeah.
You're like so far out the field.
Yeah.
You're not even playing anymore.
That's exactly it. Now I'm like, oh, books.
So-
I like to read books and learn things.
No, you need to go and fuck.
I guess.
You need to go and have. How long has it been?
A long time.
How long? 8
I don't
years?
know. I'd have to think about it.
8 years?
I'd have
10
to-
years?
I'd have to
No,
think about
Michelle was longer, so she was 10. So you're 8.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Actually, you're probably going on 9 at this point right now
Yeah.
because it's been about a year of revelation of knowing this.
Yeah.
So you really need to go out there and put your dick in a vagina and
guess so.
see what it feels like. And I don't care if I don't care what, unless it stinks. If it smells like dead tuna fish or dying fish, don't go in there.
Yeah.
Or if you see some like crabs or shit
course,
or something like living in it, then no, you don't wanna. But do the 2-finger stink test first, and if you don't, if it's okay, slide right
Okay, I guess so. Well, I'll read the text that my friend said. It says, kind of random, but my friend blank wants to know if you will have exchange oral sex, LOL. Then sent me a picture and then says free for the taking and gives me the phone number.
Here, let me see. I got to see that picture. I got to know if it's a slump buster or not. Nobody's gonna see. I wouldn't touch that.
That's what the issue is. Now we've come down to it. Now I'm not going to show on camera this person because we're not going to expose.
No, I wouldn't.
But see, now you know what the issue is. This is how you go such a long time is because
Yeah, but dude, there's so many good-looking females out there that you could match with on fucking Tinder.
Okay.
And I swear to God, so I've been dating this same girl for a couple years now. So, I have not had to go out with somebody or do the dating thing for a little while. But let me tell you something. When I was Tindering that shit up, and trust me, I'm a fucking whore. I've slept with a lot of women. I'm not going to give my number out, but it's quite a bit. And like, I would match with somebody on Tinder. I would be talking to like 3 or 4 or 5, 6 people at the same time because that's what they're doing too. So all I'm doing, and then I'd be like, hey, you want to meet up? Guarantee you at least 75% of the women I would take home. Well, I would probably take back to their place because I don't like going to my house because I can leave.
Yeah, of course.
It's harder to kick them out when they're at my house. Just to forewarn you. So if you're gonna do this, go to their house. But 75% of the time, on the first day of meeting them, like physically sitting down and meeting, even though we may have talked for a little while, the question comes up, your place or mine? Then you'd usually go back to their place and have a little bit of fun. So trust me, download the Tinder app, make a profile, get a friend of yours who's a female to look at the pictures and to kind of set it up. So she would be like, yeah, I'd be
that.
responsive to that.
Yep.
And then just start swiping people left and right to what you would and what you wouldn't sleep with, because let's face it, that's what Tinder's for. Even though they're going to put in their profile that says not for random hookups, they just want to have some sort of class.
of course.
Or perceive it of class.
Right.
Sorry, you're on Tinder. You're going to just get fucked
Yeah.
and probably ghosted after that.
Yeah. For me, I did do that. I was on Tinder. I did have a young lady who helped me with my profile. But it's the
Good.
same thing. So I always like I get the pit bulls, right? So like another friend of mine in my work is like, Aaron, you're such a great guy, and you make a nice young lady very happy. I want to hook you up with my friend. She was a fry-later at McDonald's and looked like Pitbull. So, I'm like,
So
what?
hold on, time out. Let's put this thing into a perspective. Let's do you like numbers and growth charts and shit like that.
No, I don't.
Here is the chart and the bar where it can be set. Like this is encompassing all females from busted ass, do not want to go near, to top of the line Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
And everybody in between. This encompasses all 3.5 billion females in the world.
Okay.
Sorry, we're putting it into terms like this.
Yeah.
So any women out there, and anybody who's listening, you're not going to see the visual, but if you go to YouTube and watch the visual, this, I don't know what number this is, but yeah, just go to the number, it'll be the same on YouTube. So if you want to see the visual, fast forward to this time frame. But yeah, so this is the chart right here. The bar, okay, so again, here's the top. This is where you have the bar, right here.
Yeah.
So goddamn high that this amount of pussy is not going to even comprehend. Like, you need to bring the bar down to about here.
You're like, aim low, real low, just this side of gross, Aaron.
Here you go. Right here. Yeah. That's the bar.
Yeah.
Because right now you haven't had sex in years. You need to.
It's just not that important to me.
You stick your dick in a vagina and it'll feel important again to you. It's like the crazy hot scale.
I was going to say about the crazy. See, that's what the problem is. I always get the hot and crazy. Now,
No, because
the good news is...
because the hotter they are, the crazier they can be. Yeah. That's the whole thing. Yeah. So like, if they're Scarlett Johansson, they could be as crazy. They could be straitjacket crazy, and you still can fuck them because they're so goddamn hot.
Yeah.
And Scarlett Johansson, if you're listening to this, how you doing? How you doing?
Yeah. Heidi Klum.
Well, that's for you, yeah.
Yeah. Scarlett, no argument there. Have you seen Elizabeth Hurley lately?
No.
You like the older women. You got to look her up. You're always advocating the older women. She's 54 now, man. Whew.
I'm not. You know who my top enchilada, the female persuasion is?
Jennifer Lopez.
Jennifer Aniston.
Oh, okay.
Jennifer Aniston is wow, drop dead gorgeous
for sure.
Even I would say even now more so than when she was on Friends as Rachel. Wow, gorgeous. You know, Jennifer Lopez is fucking hot too. Like that ass is just amazing, and that ass don't quit. Yeah. And the nice thing about that ass is it's real. It's not fake, like a lot of the other ones that are out there. But yeah, no, but Scarlett Johansson, like, you know, it's funny because I talk with my girlfriend and I'm like, she's on my list, like the five lists of what, like the celebrities that you get. And I have my list set up, but I think Scarlett Johansson actually takes the #1 position right now, like right there. Jennifer Aniston is a very, very close #2.
I think Jessica Biel is #1 for me.
Okay. You know who's really hot too is Olivia Wilde.
Oh, I forgot all about her.
She's
so hot.
Yep, she has this like look to her that's just like, wow.
Yeah. She seems super fun too.
Yeah. Like, what was that movie that she was in with Ryan Reynolds and Jason Bateman? They exchanged, and Heather Mann, or not, was it Heather Mann? No, Leslie Mann's in it. And they exchanged, so like Ryan Reynolds was the dude who was just like free and just didn't give a shit and didn't care. And Jason Bateman was married with kids, and you know, they just wanted to switch and they pissed into a fountain.
Yeah, I remember.
And they're like, do you remember what the name of the movie was? The Switch Up or something like that? I don't remember, but yeah, I mean, she looked so goddamn hot in that movie.
She was super hot.
And then Tron Legacy.
I didn't know that was her.
Yes, that's her.
Like,
even because her hair is cut, but
she's
wearing that nice tight fucking leather shit.
Yeah, the first time I noticed her was in the movie In Time, because she's the mom in Time, and I'm like, oh my god, she's so hot. And then I watched she's in this movie called she's works at like a brewery or something. It's not a very popular
know.
movie. So then I saw her in that, but I'm like, oh my God, that's her in Tron. I'm like, holy
Yeah.
shit. Because I was like, unbelievable. Yep. She's up there. Jessica Biel, if you watch Chuck and Larry Get Married,
Yeah,
she's
I have
hot
that
in
movie.
that. Yeah, she's hot in that. Jessica Biel. I'm telling you though, Elizabeth Hurley's looking real good. I can't just her age.
I think you just like her because she was one in Austin
Yeah,
Powers.
that's for sure.
So I think you just kind of had that.
Was
that
she like
idea.
The Devil Wears Prada or something? No,
That wasn't her.
That's
That
Meryl
was
Streep.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then who's the girl? Anne Hathaway. She
Yeah.
was in that too.
Yeah.
She's cute.
Yeah,
she's not bad.
I like
She'd
her
be in the
in,
top. She might be in the top 15.
Yeah, I like her in Get Smart. You ever watch Get Smart?
No.
It's pretty good with Steve Carell. Yeah, so Scarlett Johansson, Jessica Biel, Olivia Wilde. Who else is there? I don't know. Yeah,
There's quite a few.
Yep.
There's quite. I mean, there's a lot of attractive females.
Yeah. Step
out
one:
there.
be attractive.
No. You're again. Your bar is set way too high. You got to lower that motherfucker down to the point where it's yes.
gross.
You
Aim
need
for
to.
the fat-
No.
you need the
There's
fatties that are
these
gross.
females that are down here that do not go near, do not touch, do not pass go, do not go or go directly to jail. Do not collect
Go
$200.
for the ones that have blue waffle, Aaron. You need the ones that have blue waffle and pig breath.
No. That encompasses the lower portion that you don't. But there's a whole plethora of females that are going to be perfectly fine for you to enjoy.
Okay.
Just go out there and have some sex, Aaron, please. I'm begging you. It's enjoyable. It'll
guess so.
also increase your testosterone levels, which will probably help you just in general
Yeah,
with
that
health
definitely
and
will help.
wellness.
Yep, you're right there.
Because sex does that. Because when
Sure
you're on
does.
the prowl, it boosts your testosterone.
Yep.
Like you're like, I'm looking for somebody. Like go to the, go to the supermarket. Go to the supermarket. Start hitting on. But honestly, go to Tinder. Make a Tinder profile.
No, I did.
and
I've done the
start
Tinder.
swiping.
I've tried to pick up women at the supermarket. I've done it all. I've been there and done that. Trust me, up until I was 35, from the time I was 12 and discovered boobs,
Yes,
till
but
I
you're-
was
you're
35 years
38.
old.
That's
Yeah.
3 years going by where you're like, I'm just not looking.
Yeah, it's exactly what I
You're
did.
you're like, I mean, the country songs. I lost my dog.
Well, that's not true
I
because
lost my truck.
No, I
and I
did-
lost my woman.
I did go
You're
to
like, I
college.
lost my dick.
no, I did go to college and I did meet some college women.
Yeah,
but I
but
just
you're
never.
38. They're 18.
No, I'm at 20. That's the misconception, and I was really glad about.
I'm
So-
sorry. Some of them are 22.
Well, no. So when I went back to school when I was 27, because I got taken out for the age of I've been to college 4 times. It took me 4 times, but I finally made it. Everyone's life path is different. I don't beat myself up about it. But anyway, so when I went back after taking a good gap, I went when I was 18, I went when I was 21, and then I had a good gap of just living my life as a young adult in my 20s. And then when I went back to school when I think I was 26 or 27, I went back and I was real nervous. I'm like, oh my God, I'm old now. And this is going to be crazy with all these 18-year-olds. Well, my very first class, my English writing class, there was a 63-year-old woman in there. And then there was a bunch of 50-year-olds.
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a
So
lot
I'm
of
like,
people who take classes.
Sure. So I realized that okay, yeah, there's a lot of young people, but there also is middle-aged people. And then there's people who just are finishing up their degree before they die. I just got to finish that degree. So I felt more comfortable. And then going back in my 30s to finish up, I was like, okay, I'm old now, really old this time. But again, there are people in there of 55, 60 years old.
Well, yeah, but that's also where you went too. If you go to a different school, different type of school, it's going to be 18 to 22.
It depends.
Just the
I
way
mean, there's a
it
lot
is
of people who are
because-
going to our local universities. That, in
Yeah,
fact,
but that's what I'm saying is the fact that they're going to those because
Yeah.
it's a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
And they're trying to either get the degree or want to take the classes or whatever it is. But if you go to a school that's, going to be more expensive, chances are they're not going to be younger. There's going to be, older. They're mostly going to be that college age
that's
of 18
what I
to
thought.
22.
But then when I went to the university to went from the local college to check out the university.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing, though. It's still SUNY.
Yeah.
But if you go, I mean,
I see what you're saying. If it's not a SUNY school, but I went to Niagara University, and I was like, oh, I'm thinking of continuing. The first dude I met there was in his 30s, and he was telling me the difference between the local school, and you're right. I'm sure there's a bulk of young people there, but there are older people continuing their education. But anyway, so I met a couple young ladies there. I was very impressed. I met a 23-year-old who was genius at math, but couldn't understand accounting. And I was not in your 30s try to do algebra if you didn't learn it. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. So she's helping me with my algebra. I'm helping her with her accounting because I was in that. Her boyfriend was 36, but the thing was, I just couldn't hit on her, even though...
Well, she's dating somebody.
Exactly. So to try to find someone that's single, that doesn't have any drama.
There's a lot of people single, and there's a lot of people... Because you got to remember, right now, you're in an age where there's a lot of divorces happening. There's a lot of single moms out there.
No,
there's a lot of single women out there. Yeah. There's a lot of women who never settle down out there. Right. I mean, we
all have baggage.
I told you I like the older women, and I like the older women. And a lot of the women that I dated were in their 40s, and I was, when I was 28, I was dating a woman who was 42, 43.
Yeah.
And then for quite a few years, I was dating all older than me, up until who I'm dating now, who is I say I'm 26, so she's technically a little older than me now, but I identify as 26.
Yeah, we all do, Chris. We all do.
All right. With that being said, though, we're gonna wrap this sucker up. So you have some homework to do tonight, or not tonight. Tonight would be great. You get extra bonus points from me if you complete that task tonight. But you have some homework to do, and that is to go get some, because it's been so many freaking years.
Nah.
You just need to.
Nah.
You need to.
I think I'm gonna work on other things. I'm probably gonna write a movie script, maybe. Maybe I'll do that. I don't know.
That's pathetic.
There's a lot of other things to do.
That's sad.
Yeah.
Sad.
What if I'm waiting till marriage?
That's stupid. You don't test drive a car without
I will
taking
say
it for a
this.
test run.
I was trying to look up the statistic of how many sexual partners the average man has been with. And the last time I looked it up, I got an even number. Like I found an actual number.
Uh-huh.
And
what's that number?
I can't find it now.
Well, what do you think it was? Remember?
I can't remember, but I remember at the time.
Was it double digits, triple digits?
No, it's in the single digits.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
So that's when I thought, well, okay, I've been with more people than the average man has had sexual partners. But you have to think,
but distance,
right?
Wow, if you squeezed it all into, I could go out and I could have a different woman every freaking night of the week, and there's 7 people.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So no, that's frequency. But then you could say over your lifetime, it's, you stretch it out to 7 people, but you could be having sex with each of those 7 people for years on end.
Yeah. But you also have to take into account, like, there's people who are celibate, and then there's people who get married when they're 18 and are with the same person their whole entire lives. There's a lot of factors.
Yeah, that doesn't happen too much anymore.
Right.
So go out, get some.
Nah, I'm going to write, maybe I'll write some comedy skits. I'll go do stand up.
That's sad.
That seems
that's legit sad.
Fun to me.
I got a quote for you.
All right, I'm ready.
Take what you can, give nothing back.
All right, Pirate
Jack Sparrow.
All right. I like it.
And that is for your homework.
My favorite
Take
thing.
what you can and give nothing back.
One of my favorite gifs, my favorite gifs for all you lamos out there, my favorite gifs who are pronouncing it wrong, is the agreed.
Tomato.
Yep. I love the agreed where Captain Barbosa leans in and he goes, agreed. And it's all you can see is jacked up teeth. There's a GIF. And whenever I agree to something, I send that to people, but I don't think it works on their phones when I send it to them. Agreed.
Well, yeah, you got an Android. You got to get an iPhone, and then that shit'll work to every phone.
No, I'm getting rid of my phone. I'm going back to the flip phone.
I highly doubt that. Okay, Ari.
Yeah, I was just going to say Ari Shafir.
All right, what's the quote? Because we're wrapping this sucker
up. Oh, man, I just lost it. Oh, well. Oh, I found it. Are you ready?
The average male has sex with at least 8 women in their lifetimes, and that's according to all, including the baby boomers and the Jenner.
I think it was even lower than that, if I can remember.
I want to say it was 7, if that was
Yeah, I can't even
single
remember.
digits. I blew that fucking number by.
Yeah.
I don't have enough fingers, toes, or anything to count.
Yeah. And for me, like I'm like,
Oops.
well, there is that. I've been more than the average man. But again,
But here's the thing: I can honestly say, I've had many partners, and I've always been clean. I'm very proud to say that.
well, I have such a paranoia in the first place. Did you ever see the Naked
Read your
Gun?
quote.
Yeah.
We're not getting into
You
anything
didn't
new.
see the
Get
naked
your quote.
the
Yes,
Naked
I have,
Gun
but we're not getting into
the
it.
full body
We're
condom.
not, no,
That's
no,
me.
Not getting in.
I gotta wear the full body.
We're wrapping
condom.
it up.
Okay,
Get
that's
your
what
quote.
I do. I wrap it up. All right, I'm looking. I have it. I got to read the right one.
Ay, ay, ay.
Okay, ready? All right. The object of life is not to be on the side of the majority, but to escape finding oneself in the ranks of the insane.
Oh boy. Are you trying to tell us something? You need a straitjacket or something?
No, everyone's insane. You're crazy. I'm not crazy. You're crazy.
Sure. All right, everybody. That was the end of the podcast.
I was Aaron.
I'm Chris. Have a good night, everyone.